Not everything is possible for kings. What the great Bugatti Royale couldn't achieve. Amazing facts about the most majestic car in history. The modern Bugatti story revolves around the image of the ultimate car. Outrageously powerful, impossibly fast, and unbelievably expensive. Such were the EB-110 and EB-112 of the Romano Artioli era, and such are the Veyron, Chiron, and all their successors. But originally, Bugatti earned its reputation with very different qualities. Legendary models like the Type 13 and Type 35 were weaker and slower than their rivals, but left no chance on winding roads thanks to their low weight and outstanding handling. Yet there was one major, and in every sense massive exception, the Bugatti Type 41 Royale, possibly the best car of its time, but also Ettore Bugatti's greatest failure. Legend has it that the Royale was born out of pure jealousy. Supposedly, a wealthy British lady once told Ettore Bugatti that his sports cars were good, but nowhere near Rolls-Royce in terms of comfort and status, so Ettore set out to prove her wrong. But that's just a myth. In truth, as early as 1913, when the company was just getting started, Ettore wrote to his friend, Dr. Gabriele Espinay, "I want to create a car so luxurious, large, and expensive that it will have no equal in the world. Bigger than a Hispano-Suiza, more expensive than a Rolls-Royce, and incredibly fast." In the end, Ettore fully realized his dream, one he would surely be proud of even today, especially since modern Bugattis, unlike his own creation, achieved undeniable success among the world's elite. So what exactly is the Bugatti Royale, and why did its fate fall short of its grand ambitions? Here are the most fascinating facts. A plain engine and truck dimensions. The grandeur of the Bugatti Royale is hard to grasp without seeing it in person. Measuring 6.4 meters, 21 feet long, this behemoth is half a meter longer than the modern long-wheelbase Rolls-Royce Phantom. Comparisons with passenger cars are pointless. The Type 41 is closer in size to massive pickups like the Ford F-350 or even a Gazelle, yet even most of those are shorter. The 4.3-meter wheelbase alone is enough to fit an entire Hyundai Creta between its axles. Naturally, this much metal isn't light. Even with aluminum used extensively, the Royale tips the scales at nearly 3.2 tons. But weight was no issue for the gigantic engine under its 2-meter hood. Originally developed for the French Air Force, it was a 16-cylinder U-type configuration, two inline-eights side by side. The aviation career didn't pan out, but the engine wasn't wasted. Ettore took half of it and adapted it for use in a car. Care to guess the displacement? 12.7 liters. In words, 12.7. It missed being the largest production car engine in history by a hair. The Pierce Arrow Model 66 had a 6-cylinder engine with a 13.5-liter displacement. But the American car made just 100 horsepower, while the French one tripled that, plus nearly 800 newton-meters of torque. Technically, it was ahead of its time. Dual spark plugs per cylinder, dry sump lubrication, overhead camshaft and valves, one exhaust and two intake per cylinder. However, the block and head were cast as one piece, making repairs a nightmare. To balance the engine's 350 kilograms, 772 pounds, the 3-speed manual gearbox was mounted at the rear axle, transaxle layout like many modern supercars, with the clutch positioned near the driver to reduce vibrations. Not that there were many, the engine didn't rev past 2,000 RPM because with that displacement, it didn't need to. The hypercar of its time, the Royale's insane power gave it near supernatural performance for its era. It reached 100 kilometers per hour, 62 miles per hour, in just over 12 seconds, and could top out at 200 kilometers per hour, 124 miles per hour, in the late 1920s. Yes, Blitz and Benz broke the 200 kilometer per hour barrier in 1909, but that was a record car, not a luxurious road-going Leviathan. The real magic, though, was in the chassis. Contemporaries claimed the Royale handled twisting roads nearly as well as small racing Bugattis, though it required more steering input. Sounds like a stretch? Here's what Tommy Milton III, grandson of two-time Indy 500 winner, said about his experience with the Royale in the late 1980s. We were preparing the Briggs Cunningham Royale for a series of events leading up to the Christie's auction in London in November 1987, including Pebble Beach. At first, testing in California, the car felt awful. Every car passed us on the highway. We couldn't even climb a 15% hill at Pebble Beach, not even in first gear. I started to think Bugatti's legend was overblown. But after some use, the mechanics loosened up. Soon we were driving it for errands. Daily. The hill became doable in third gear. On the highway, we passed everyone. And not just the engine improved. The whole car came alive. Believe it or not, this 3-ton monster drove like a light sports car. It handled predictably at the limit, and you could drift it slightly on dirt roads. Imagine the Royale sliding all 4 tires at 110 kilometers per hour on asphalt. I lapped Donington Park all day, flat out, and it was real. His efforts paid off. At the Christie's auction, that Royale sold for $9.8 million, making it the most expensive car ever sold at auction at the time. Ironically, its previous owner, Briggs Cunningham, bought it in 1950 for $571 in a refrigerator. Even kings couldn't afford the Royale. Cunningham actually bought 2 cars for just a few $100s in a General Electric refrigerator each. Why? Post-war France lacked refrigerators, and Ettore Bugatti's daughter, Abe, saw it as a fair trade, especially since 3 unsold Royales were sitting in storage, half the entire production. 2 went to Cunningham, and the third, Ettore's personal car, stayed in the family until 1963. That's right, only 3 Type 41s were sold after production. Ettore planned to make 25, but demand was non-existent. The prototype was ready in 1926, during the Roaring Twenties, a time of excess, perfectly matching this excessive machine meant for royalty. The bare chassis with engine and grille cost $30,000, over $500,000 today. For comparison, you could buy 2.5 finished Rolls-Royces for the same money. Ettore wasn't worried. He assumed royal buyers would come. In fact, he refused to sell one to King Zog of Albania due to his monstrous table manners. The first client was to be King Alfonso XIII of Spain, but he was deposed before the car was ready. The global Great Depression, however, was the real killer. As production began, the economy collapsed, and not even kings could justify the cost. All surviving Royales have names. The first customer, Type 41, chassis 41,111, went to French textile magnate Armand Esters. His roadster, built by Ettore's son Jean, was an artistic masterpiece. Its entire side, fender, running board, rear arch, made from a single hand-shaped 6-meter panel. At the buyer's request, it had no headlights. He never drove at night. Sadly, that original body exists only as a replica now. Later, Esters sold the car, and it was rebodied by Binder into a 4-seat Coupe de Ville. It nearly went to the King of Romania, but World War II disrupted those plans. Bugatti hid it in Paris's sewers to protect it from bombings. Eventually, Volkswagen bought it in 1999 for $20 million for its Bugatti relaunch campaign. The second sold Royale, chassis 41121, got a black and yellow cabriolet body by German coach builder Ludwig Weinberger. In 1932, it was bought by German gynecologist Joseph Fuchs, who moved across Switzerland, Italy, Japan, and the U.S. In 1937, it arrived in New York and vanished until 1946, when future GM-VP Charles Chain found it in a junkyard and bought it for $75. Restoration cost him over $10,000, and today it shines white in the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan. The third Royale sold, chassis 41,131, was a massive 7-seat limousine by Park Ward, ordered by Cuthbert Foster, heir to a department store empire. It eventually ended up in the Schlumpf collection in Mulhouse, France, now the world-famous Cité de l'Automobile Museum. There also remains Ettore's own Coupe Napoleon, often thought to be the first prototype. It bore many body styles, some from Packard, others more formal. He even crashed one, possibly drunk, leading to a full rebuild. That original frame resurfaced in the US 20 years ago and was rebuilt with 60% original parts. So now there are either 6 or 7 Royales, depending on how you count them. The 2 remaining Royales are in private hands. Chassis 41,141, with Kellner coupe body, was the one Tommy Milton drove at Donington. The final one, 41,150, a black and yellow Berline de Voyage, went to Cunningham with the Kellner. At one point, it was owned by Domino's pizza founder Tom Monahan, and now it's rumored to be in South Korea. Few cars in history have such complete biographies covering every single unit ever made. The Royale's legacy didn't end with its failure. The Royale was too ambitious for its time and died a commercial failure, but its heart lived on, literally. Since the engines were already built, Achievebugatti decided to repurpose them for trains. Yes, really. He installed the Royale engines into lightweight rail cars known as autorails. Designed by Bugatti himself, they were beautiful, comfortable, and fast. Though detuned to 200 horsepower, each railcar had 2 engines, and VIP versions had 4. In 1937, one such train hit 196 kilometers per hour, 122 miles per hour, a rail speed record at the time. Bugatti built 88 autorails which served French railways until 1958. These sales allowed Bugatti to stay afloat during hard times. He ended up building nearly 200 engines. Irony indeed. The most exclusive Bugatti engine became a mass-market workhorse for the public. A car made for kings was never bought by one, yet its failure paved the way for Bugatti's survival and for the daring, elite image its cars still carry today.